But yeah, I got. Yeah, and I thought. I mean, I literally just had a job come in. That's why I was playing with my phone. So I just had a job come in for Monday.
Yeah. Thank you for supporting our channel. Thank you for supporting Wizan. Please like, subscribe, comment, and hit the notification bell for any future videos.
I more or less work full time. Yeah, more or less.
Well, as a guide.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the cabbing kind of is a secondary thing, and you're guiding.
Yeah,
is
it's
first.
like someone said to me the other day, goes, "What is guiding your psychic?" I went, "No, cabbing is." Like I literally guide. I mean, look, I've been doing it years, and I've put the work in. I have put the work in.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I guide. Yeah, and I thought. I mean, I literally just had a job come in. That's why I was playing with my phone. So I just had a job come in for Monday.
Yeah.
4-hour tour. Like minimum tours are 4 hours. But yeah, you know, and. Some people might not want that. Some people might want to be more flexible, but it's another string to your bow, isn't it? It's another.
Well, it's more than a string to your bow. This is actually the mainstay of your business now.
Well, yeah, of course, yeah. So, but again, it's not for everyone, and you might want to pursue it. You might want to chase it. You might want to put more. The more you put in, the more you get out. So
yeah, I mean, obviously, if in my circumstances where I am now, I wouldn't do it. But if I was going back the years and where you are. I would absolutely do it.
On occasion, I don't have the other day in his 60s. He was like, "Oh man, I wish I'd done this years ago."
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I wish I'd done it years ago.
Well, when I did it, it didn't exist.
Yeah.
This wasn't when I finished knowledge, and everybody intended on doing the blue badge, and I think they all kind of thought the blue badge was a kind of green badge. They didn't understand that the blue badge is the history. It's quite an in-depth course, isn't it? That one, it's big.
It's a very different way of giving a tour as well. Like if you listen to a blue badge and you listen to someone who's done the cab guide course, it's very, very different.
I mean, you know, I know you sort of want to sort of finish up,
no,
but
okay.
you know, it's since I've done it, I've seen it evolve massively. Do you know what I mean? And it's now sort of there's more of an industry there. You're training for an industry that you know is there. When I done it, it was literally enhance your tips. That's what it was aimed at. Just enhance your tips. You never know. But like now. How old am I? 7 years down the line. It's a job.
Yeah, all the nuances behind it. You know, even things like public liability. You're getting people in and out of the cab, and you got to cover things like that because you're taking them. You know, if they trip over on a paving stone, you don't want to have to deal with those kind of eventualities. You have to be a bit more prepared.
No, you're right. I've got insurance. Quotex do it. They do guiding insurance, and you know, very rarely stuff happens, but a couple of things have happened. You know, over the years I've been doing it, out of my control. Which, but you just want to make sure, that you're there. And then you know the course, they do teach you. You know, I don't gesture anyone across the road. I'll tell them out across the road. I'm not going to hold your hand unless you pay extra. But but you know, like so you learn them skills. That's what they teach you, which you really have to take forward if you want to do it. You know, and look after yourself.
I imagine your tour is quite good, Frank. To be honest with you, you got the warmth and the chat and everything else, and we're going to go around and you want to be happy, don't you? You don't want to be too bored.
No,
you want
and own the tour. It's your time.
Some tours as well, you feel like, God, I haven't, like you feel like some tours you've done really, really well with, and then maybe another one you've not done so well with, and you've not given them, or you've not been able to get places because of traffic. But each tour group doesn't know what is normally there.
Yeah.
Like
they don't know what you ain't told them. I always say that. I always say they don't know. In your head, you're like, oh, I want to get that. I want to get them that. Don't promise anything. I'm going to get you here to see that because you're in London, and if you don't get them, you failed.
Yeah.
So just keep everything.
You got to be flexible.
You got to be flexible.
It's something.
Find out what their interests are, because if they're like, I must see Buckingham Palace, and you're like, all right, that's the end of the tour. We didn't see Buckingham Palace. Like,
I mean, and flex of people. You talk to them. I say, look, let's engage. You know, the more I know about you, the more I know what you're interested in. Do you know what I mean? Do you want to do Abbey Road, and do you like Harry Potter? Like, you know what I mean? Because let's just get that out of the way. Because you'll do like you have half an hour left and go, can we do the Abbey Road crossing? You're like, I've got to get this in. No, not really. So, but not everyone. But
I get the impression that the difference between the blue badge and the Hackney Carriage tour guide badge is that the blue badge is going to be droll and in 1864 this man was and you guys are cheeky chappies going to give it.
Well, it's a bit of an entertainment sort of level to it. Even the sort of books and history that I like to read to kind of swat up on it, and obviously something I learned from the course as well, is like kids books, like stuff that you can actually really get involved in how it works. Even when I go to different museums and stuff in London, if there's like a kids option, I'll listen to that because that's going to have a more engaging story that I'm going to engage with. It's probably going to stick better.
Easy.
I'm going to enjoy that more, and then I can go on and do more research about it. But if you just get someone just go, well, they built this in a Palladian style, and the green is dirty tunes. But
he's right. There's only so many. 5 in London, Charles first execution. That's it. Don't worry about
The rest
it.
is centuries. You kind of say,
Really,
it's
is that
the
it?
middle,
Yeah,
the middle
because
14th century or the middle 18th
Even then, when you say
century.
what's something century, people are
They
like,
ain't going to remember. They
What's
won't
that?
remember these
No,
names.
no,
You
no.
can give them.
I'll say, look, do you know what? I'm going to tell you the Tudors. I'm going to tell you the royal family in really simple terms. You got Tudors, Stuarts, and you got the House of Hanover. All the first 4 kings were called George, so we basically called it the Georgian period. Bang, there we go. I've covered about 300. Right,
400
sorted.
more, yeah.
And then as
was
I'm
the
going through
first
it, so
four.
I'm going Tudor. You know, like so. You know, I don't. Yeah. So you got to make it easy. And again,
Yeah.
a lot of people are jet lagged and stuff like that.
You're,
Yeah.
you're not doing the course to become a historian. It's you're doing this to just give good tours to people.
So,
It's not
Out of interest, where is the Museum of London now?
I don't know. Where's the Museum
Smithfield,
of London?
isn't it?
Where is it?
It's
It's going to Smithfield. Have you not
It's
seen
going
it?
to Smithfield,
You should have
yeah.
seen it.
No, it's
going.
not.
Oh,
No, see, none of you know.
it's
do
going
you?
to Smithfield.
Yeah, it's
Let's
going
go
to
to
Smithfield,
Smithfield. Oh, here
in
we
the
go.
rotunda.
Here we go. If we're going to be factual, we've got to be accurate.
Okay, sorry.
They used to hold this guiding
No, it's
course
not
in the
Rotunda
Museum of
Museum.
London.
Yeah, that's where
not
mine was in
anymore.
Rotunda. It's not there no more, though, is
and
it?
now
Ours
you
was
don't
in the
know.
Guildhall. Ours was in the Guildhall, of course.
Well, where is
I
it
suggest you all do the knowledge again and
Yeah,
catch
tell me
up.
about
With
it.
the,
Yeah, tell me.
it's
The
now
knowledge.
it's now in the London Docklands Museum
Oh, yeah, of
until
course it
until it
is.
opens in Smithfield.
Yes.
Yeah. So
That's
it
why
will go
you
there.
went there on the course. You should know that.
That's a good one. The
For some of the buff.
It's
And the
called,
bus that.
it's called the Museum of London Docklands.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
we did do one of our classes there.
Oh, but the Museum of London is based in the Museum of London and Docklands currently.
Okay.
Temporary
Yeah,
home.
temporary. Yeah, no, it is this right. Yeah.
So it's not the fact it's it's 2 museums in one at the moment until they move all their collection to the new. It's going to be quite a museum.
Yeah, it's really good.
It
Someone
must
show
be-
you pictures.
It must be a pretty small part of the museum because the Museum of London Docklands isn't big.
No, I know it might be just
Yeah.
storage, Nick. I mean,
Yeah.
that's where they're homed at the moment.
I'm going to chuck him a curveball.
Well, it kind of is a curveball because you know what we need to know knowledge-wise.
Yeah.
We need to be up to the minute. So we're not talking about history. We're talking about now. So what is then, to finish off, what is the most interesting historical fact that you carry with you, Tom, about London?
I
and
was
its-
about to get onto this, but I've given it away now with the bridges. Yeah, Frank's on the edge
Oh,
of speaking
really?
now. Look,
Interesting.
I'll get thinking around. Wait, Frank's there.
I mean, what do I use? What gets a good?
Yeah, what's
Oh,
response?
above the doorway of Westminster Abbey on the western front, you've got like these ancient. It looks ancient, but Christian martyrs from the 20th century. And I always point out Martin Luther King's up there because you look at the old ancient Westminster Abbey doorway and you think,
Yeah.
oh, these are just old figures.
Always
Yeah.
evolving.
And then next door you have, or next to him you have Oscar Romero, El Salvador gent who was
And which I
assassinated.
say, can you see an American king? And they go, American king?
Martin Luther King?
Look at the one with the child at his feet. He's bang in the middle.
Oh,
Because-
wow.
yeah.
And that would be
But
like,
they're all 20th century because the guy next to him's got glasses on. So it had to be fairly modern. They couldn't be like that.
They went up in
ancient.
1988, I think, if I remember right. I've got a book and I read about them all. I can't remember none of them.
oh, well, I'm so pleased with this podcast because I love that one.
Everyone, yeah, that always gets everyone.
I mean, the
It-
back
it-
mark on the clock above Phil's guards, I mean, that normally gets people.
Yeah. It depends where people are from.
Yeah.
Don't give it all away.
Oh.
Oh,
What, that? My God, that's so obvious. Well, because every
Yeah.
cab driver driving past.
Well, I didn't
pointing
know
at
it.
Oh, didn't you?
Not until the course.
Oh, right.
so
It depends where they're from. Like the job I had the other day from the Westminster to the museum, they were from Boston. So if you know about John Harvard, and they don't know about it, you're blown away. So they're blown away. Sorry. So it's like it depends. If
So John Harvard, who's at Harvard University, in the John Harvard Library in Borough High Street, and what else about John Harvard in London?
but they didn't know the connection between John Harvard from Borough founded Harvard Uni. Like in a very
So John
short-
Harvard is an Englishman?
Yeah,
Yes.
he's baptised in Southwark Cathedral.
So the Harvard University is named and
After, yeah,
created.
but he
Yeah,
started
I mean
up.
that's a very brief. Like I've given you a very brief.
Now, this
again,
is-
I'm
gonna
loving
give
it.
you a little-
These are all pearls.
I'm
You're
going to
giving
tell
me
you a
pearls
story.
here.
I'm going to tell you a story with connection.
Get
to
on
that,
the
Nick.
guiding course then.
So I'm driving a cab. I've just done a course. I learned about John Harvard. I've done a bit of research. Benjamin Dunstan was the fellow he started up with. John Harvard dies. Benjamin Dunstan decides to call it Harvard College. I'm got his skis in the back. I've just done a course from Keane, giving him all this stuff. And I start telling him he's a descendant of Benjamin Dunstan. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? And he's telling me loads of stuff. He goes, yeah, because of that, for generations, we were allowed to go to Harvard without paying any fees. What? He goes, yeah, it stopped like about 2 generations ago. So he goes, I can't go. But so you never know. As a cab driver, you do this course. You
I had a
find stuff.
relative of John Wolfe Barry.
Oh,
yeah?
No way.
An Aussie guy. Yeah.
Well, you're going to have to
Well,
educate the public on that one.
Architect of Tower Bridge, and then his father, Sir Charles
Oh,
Barry,
okay.
was House of Parliament.
As Parliament, yeah. worked himself to. It'd be done in 2.5 years. 30 years later, they're still building.
Yeah. So we've done some. What about yours, Nick? What's your most interesting thing? You don't want to give it away.
No, I don't know.
Do you know what?
I'm not as experienced in guiding as.
Yeah,
as
but
these two.
but what's
the hard-
you've learned recently?
Yeah.
What about the language thing? I told him the other day. He was like, I can't
No,
believe
so
that.
this is something we learned on the course, and this is a good one because it's about the languages. So you've got like a mixture of languages, and we've had French kings and stuff like that.
English is the bastard language.
Yeah.
Between what is the Germanic and the French
Latin
and the
Saxon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that makes us more diverse. We have more words to cover things than most languages have. Don't we?
Like the
but
word
there's-
strand, you know? Where strand
Yeah.
come from?
Beach, German.
Yeah.
The once beach.
And
Was it the beach? Was the beach up to the strand? I imagine.
Yeah,
then.
because it wasn't.
That's what Charing means bend.
Charing means bend. Bend of the river.
That's where it bent. That was Charing Cross, Eleanor Cross. They all connect, man. Sorry.
Yeah, it is. No, it is all connected. It is all connected.
Well, Eleanor Cross we have, but again, Eleanor Cross brings us back to the things that we learn on the knowledge that they no longer learn, and the carrying of Eleanor's body. That was one of the
Eleanor
topics.
Castile.
She
Yeah,
stayed
so
in
this
a priory there overnight.
But this
Yeah.
is where everything is connected. So if you know about Eleanor Cross and you know about Edward, then you know about William Wallace. My exam point was William Wallace. So you learn about Edward I, and then you learn about the connection to Eleanor. So it's
And
all,
William Wallace,
Hung, drawn, and quartered.
and who was he? What's his connection with London Bridge?
He was hung, drawn, and quartered on London Bridge, was he?
No, he was. So it's my exam point. So no, he was killed at Smithfield. So that's where he was hung, drawn, and quartered.
What's
his
the-
head went to London Bridge.
The
and
first
the
head?
first head on London Bridge was Wallace's head.
Where's the memorial then? The memorial is in Trinity Square,
No,
isn't it?
it's St Bart's. Like
Okay, it's from Bath.
No,
Sorry,
the
I'm thinking of
execution
another one.
site, Trinity Square, yeah.
Which one's at Trinity Square?
There's
there is an
site,
execution
Tower Hill.
site at Trinity Square.
Right, because I think that might have been where in the movie they might have portrayed it as being
Oh,
in
yeah,
Trinity
probably,
Square
yeah.
when they
I mean,
hung,
it's
drawn,
not
and
really-
quartered
It's not
him.
really a documentary. Braveheart.
There's
I'm sure the
factual
cameras-
inaccuracies with that one.
Yeah. I didn't get my my exam knowledge from watching Braveheart. You
Oh,
have
I
to do a
don't
lot of
know.
research.
I saw Ridley Scott the other day. He's made, what's his latest film that he's done?
Oh, Napoleon.
Napoleon.
The irony
Yeah.
that the fact that's emblazoned in the IMAX roundabout right outside Waterloo
Yeah,
Station.
Waterloo, I know. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, someone said to him that this is not
pyramids.
an accurate statement of the Napoleon's historical thing, and he said, "F off."
I love that.
Oh dear, as if Anyway, so you didn't give any historical tidbits. I learned loads from these two.
He can-
Right, the language you
hell.
speak. What I was trying to allude him to, I told him the other day and he thought it was quite a mate. So what you do learn on the course is, obviously, you've got two languages.
In a very basic way, you learn this on the course. So this is what we was told, and then Frank elaborated on it. So
so basically you learn about the origins of your language. You've got
Yeah.
the language of the classes, yeah? You've got the peasants and the lords.
Oh, okay.
Because when William the Conqueror came over and conquered everywhere except for the city of London, they call him William the First.
William
Yo.
the Bastard, isn't it? Yeah, that's what proper guys would call him. That. Yeah,
yeah.
That-
William the
he
Bastard.
didn't conquer. Yeah,
But anyway, so he basically took control of the land, gave all the land to his friends, but they spoke French. The peasants, or the people that lived there already, they spoke Saxon or Germanic.
Yep.
So now we've got class languages. So when you go and ask for food on your plate, you're speaking French, or you want pork, or you want beef. Yeah? But when they go in the field, they're going to get in their language. They're going to say pig or cow. So that's two languages meeting. Then what I said to him the other day, I went, oh yeah, it goes, and what about, there's loads of them. Like when you sit on something with a back, yeah, you're speaking French, le chair, yeah, chair. All right, but you sit on something without a back, what the peasants sat on, you're speaking German.
Stuhl.
And it's
Oh, Frank,
Yeah.
what a nugget,
Yeah.
what a pearl.
stuff like that. And then, so you learn your facts, you learn all this, but it ain't about that. It's about engaging. Like, they will remember that when they leave.
Well,
They're not
so will
gonna-
I.
Yeah, exactly. So
That is a real
and
gem.
I mean, in law, there's loads. Will and testament, like in the court of law, you so there's no misunderstanding. You say it in the different languages, and a will and testament is the same thing in two different languages. And I think there's some of them they got 3 words in law. I'm not a law expert, by the way, but yeah, it's loads of stuff.
Yeah. What's it? Is this linked to the pronunciation of Grosvenor and Grosvenor, that kind of thing?
He was that's Fat Hunter, isn't he? He was a friend of. That's his nickname. His nickname was Fat Hunter.
The Grosvenors on the call.
That's what Grosvenor is, Fat Hunter.
Oh, okay. I just know that it was the story I heard is that a poor person won't know that the S is silent, and an educated person would know that the S is silent, so they could tell your class by the way you say certain words.
I like that.
And
You used
I
to say that about
I love that.
Beecham
See,
and-
Beecham and
Beecham
Beauchamp.
and Beauchamp.
Yeah. So that one, I was going to ask if you knew how it came about, because my presumption is is very much like the woman off the television program Bouquet, but her name's spelled Bucket.
Well, do you know what? The way, I mean, like every day's a school day doing this because I never knew that. But when you explain it in my head, well, you know, the S is silent in French, and it's go.
Yeah.
So that's obviously where it comes from because you're speaking French, goes for no. But if you're a peasant,
you'd
you've got
read
to see
it.
the S.
You read the letters, yeah.
So yeah,
and all the students who are kind of thinking they all read the S normally if they've not got no because kind of if you've been in England you'd know you had to say Grosvenor, but you'll see so many saying grows, and it's even hard to say when you put this in Grosvenor.
Aldwych, Greenwich as well. They're like Saxon words, aren't they? Greenwich. Wick is like settlement. And that would have been when Saxon tribes would have settled.
Do you mean Greenwich?
Greenwich. Yeah. We get people in how do you say it? Southwark.
Southwark. Yeah.
We call it Southwark, and then they look at you like you're setting them up. I'm like, no, trust me.
Yeah,
call it Southwark. Yeah, if you want to call it Southwark, you crack on, but it's Southwark. Yeah,
Southworks because that's where all the dirty industries were based.
Yeah.
Southwark. Oh, that's where it was from.
Southworks.
Yeah, because like predominantly the wind blows like east.
Oh, okay.
That's why the rich move west.
Yeah.
I mean,
they say you could smell what was going on at what factory.
Yeah,
because of the wind. The way
predominantly,
the wind was blowing. So like if they were making biscuits that day, you could smell biscuits on the wind. And
I was at Peak Freen's biscuit factory yesterday.
Well,
the old story on the Peak Freens, me and Dave were both reminiscing because they used to get, broken biscuits. Well, broken biscuits were real. You could go to Peak Freens at the factory over in Drummond, Bermondsey, and you'd queue up and get broken biscuits in a bag, and then they figured that they could sell them. And then later you had to buy them. But you could go there, all the poor people would go there and, a bag of biscuits. Broken biscuits.
Childhood there. If anyone wants to do the course, you have to go to www.thewchcd.co.uk. So it's the worshipful company of Hackney carriage drivers, but all just,
And I think the spring one next year is already full.
Is it?
Yeah.
I think it's 6 on the wait list or something.
Wow. Yeah. And how much is it going to cost me?
It's just under 500 quid. Yeah.
And then you get in what you put out. Like you say 8 weeks, it's 8 Sundays and 8 Mondays.
Yeah.
You could go work the cabins, ignore it, just scrape through.
Mm-hmm.
Don't. Why?
Yeah,
you paid.
Not, I mean,
you paid money.
You can definitely.
So you're not going to foul.
But you can.
Engage yourself.
You can foul. You can foul the course.
Yeah.
Really?
Like it's not
I
a guarantee.
money back.
It's not a guaranteed pass. You've still got to put in the effort. You've still got to do your essays.
Yeah, but I mean,
there's a 100 question exam at the end, and you've got to do 2 5-minute presentations.
I mean, to fail,
you've got to be present and switch on. Like there's questions in that exam where I'm thinking, I've read this and I know I've read it, but I can't remember it. So you've still got to do.
But I know you, Nick, my whole life, and you are a bit of an anorak.
Yeah.
Methodical.
I
said he's methodical.
Yeah, I know. I can see it. He's taking. Oh, they've told me I've got to be there at 9 o'clock.
He put on a WhatsApp group and said we're going to talk this. I went, oh, please don't ask me anything else. Charles the First. I got a clue.
So Charles the First statue was taken away, wasn't it? It was supposed to be destroyed.
Yeah.
And the man who took it away told people he was making spoons out of it and selling the spoons.
He brought it at scrap value.
Yeah,
yes.
Which is, he made a few quid.
He made 3 times, didn't he?
Yeah, he brought it at
sold
scrap
it back to
and then sold it back as a statue. And sold off loads of scrap metal saying it was a statue.
Yeah.
So
I wonder if those spoons, even though they weren't made out of the statue, are worth money on the historical value of what they...
How can you verify that? And then that's why it's where it is, because Eleanor's Cross was there. Charles II said, well, I know where that's going. Because Eleanor's Cross was destroyed by parliamentary soldiers.
Was it?
Yeah, Eleanor's Cross was destroyed by the... That was stood there for 400 years.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was destroyed. If you go behind...
So the spire in the station is a remodel.
It's a Victorian interpretation, and it was only done on pictures, on images. So it probably looked roughly like that. She stayed in... there's a priory next to it called St Mary Ransomville, basically where Northumberland Avenue is. Yep. She stayed there overnight for her funeral procession the next day. She actually stayed in Bow as well, Bow Church. I think she stayed in Cheapside.
There's multiple, weren't there, from all the way from York down to...
Like Whipps Cross is still takes a name. Then I think Whipps Cross is one of them. I've researched anyway, but I do know about Eleanor's Cross.
Yeah, every day where they stopped.
Yeah, so the next day is for a funeral. She's buried in there. If you go into Westminster Abbey, and again, like I'm a member of the Palaces, Westminster Abbey.
I don't big it up.
No, but what I'm saying is, like, I go in these places, because I'm guiding now. You don't have to, but you go in these places and know about them. But if you go in there, they're all buried around the shrine of Edward the Confessor. You got Edward I, Henry III, his father, Henry III. He was the one that brought in the Edwards again, because Edward is a Saxon name. Yeah. So we had Roberts and all that. He brought in Henry III, brought that, and that's why they're all buried around. Richard II's there, I think. Every monarch except for Henry VIII is in there. I mean, it's fascinating. It's all on your doorstep.
And you don't have to go into like
They don't have
the
to.
full history of kings and queens, but if that interests you,
Look,
you can go on
Every
and learn.
monarch
I'll
other
be
than
that-
Edward the fifth and Edward the seventh were coronated in there as well.
yeah.
Since
Yeah,
William
yeah.
the Conqueror.
Yeah.
Yeah, little things like that. Yeah.
And so it's called Charing Cross as well. Then obviously with the Eleanor
Charing
Cross.
is the bend, and the cross is called Eleanor.
So so the Eleanor Cross that we're looking at is just a memorial because of Eleanor, but the crosses would have been called now. You've educated me. Whip's Cross,
Yeah.
Eleanor Charing Cross.
Yeah.
They weren't all called Eleanor Cross. They were called the
No, that place was
where
called
they.
Charing. That place
Charing.
was just called. That area is
Yeah.
called Charing, and the cross was erected. She died in 1290. I mean, look, again, this you don't have to know about dates, and you know.
She died at 9 o'clock in the morning. Classic. Oh dear. But it obviously had a lot of people. The simple thing that a lot of Londoners or someone even on the knowledge don't know exactly where Charing Cross is.
Nah.
Charing Cross is that statue.
And every
Charles I.
street, every road is measured from that statue.
Yes, from that
in
statue.
Britain.
Why are streets and why are roads?
There we go. Don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Can I add? I don't know, but I'm going to add what I tell people because it's easy. But for me, streets is where you lived and roads what took you places.
Yeah, basically. So
Okay, I ain't right. am I?
Don't even do the calls.
So roads would go from town to town or city to city,
Yeah.
and streets would be within that town. But they're also a certain size, so they have to carry like so many knights in armor or so many carriages.
Right.
So if they're not that size, they're not a street, which is why they're called passage or place or way.
Do you know about Mews?
Ah.
Do you know about Mews?
Mews has got something to do with horses.
Trafalgar Square was where Henry VIII kept all his falcons, and they used to molt. French for molting is Mews, right? And then when the falcons went out, that's where they stabled the horses. So they ended up becoming the Mews, where they were, and that's why it's unique to London that Mewses are down the back of these Georgian houses, because that's where people stabled their horses. Like, you don't need to put that in. I mean, that's just, because I know.
Yeah, that's something that they tell you on a course.
So it's a
Whitehall
progression
Palace.
of stuff. It comes from molting birds.
Yeah.
But because
The words come from that, and then it's to the
because
stabling
when
of the horses.
when the falcons
Yeah, so-
went, this is the area of Trafalgar Square. When the falcons went, they started stabling loads of horses there, and because everyone knew it as where the falcons were, and it was called Mews. Where the horses were was called the Mews.
Yeah.
And that's why now a Mews is a Mews.
So Trafalgar Square
built
used to be
so
the
much
stables to
knowledge.
Whitehall Palace.
Yeah.
So Whitehall Palace was all on that side of the Thames. You still see like Queen Mary steps there, and you got Banqueting House. That was all Whitehall Palace, and then the stables was Trafalgar Square.
Mm.
And it's just like so Mews and all that stuff.
Okay, I got one more then. I heard this on the boat trips up and down the Thames years and years ago, and I've always looked
I
at
know
it.
what this is.
Is the Ministry of Defence
Oh,
5
no.
floors below, more below than it is above?
Don't know.
He says to me, the Ministry of Defence, right there on the
I'm
left
out.
there is the Ministry of Defence, Whitehall,
Yeah.
there you see it, and there are more floors underneath it than there are.
No, but I'll tell you
above
where I've heard that, and I'll tell you who told me. Graham, we've done the course with. So do you still see him?
Graham Woodhouse. Yeah.
Yeah. I think his wife or something was a Wren in like in the RAF or something like that.
Right, okay,
Like,
yeah,
she's
I
quite
think
high
so.
ranking.
Yeah.
You know that what's that? The intelligence building, the horse guards. You got the Admiralty, and then you got that thing that's covered with the ivy,
The Citadel.
Citadel.
Yeah.
He said about that. He goes, apparently she's got. I always remember. I don't know if I got the figures wrong, but he goes, yeah, she's clear to go down 5 floors, but it goes down 7. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
So that's a Citadel.
It
So
might
if
be
that
linked.
goes down 7, that's definitely don't go up.
So if you don't know it, because I always thought when the guy was saying it on the boat, that I don't think it was on a tour guide, but the guy's going on a microphone on the boat going up and down the Thames, and we go past it, and he said it, and I was like, I think this guy's making stuff up.
Yeah,
You've got to be sort of
I mean,
careful with
that's,
that.
that's you get at. It is said that it
Yeah,
goes.
I mean,
5
listen,
floors,
I will
5
say,
floors down. That's
I will say one thing: don't make stuff up. Don't make yourself up. Because you do look like an idiot. Do you know what I mean? Like,
You've got
it's
to-
not hard.
You got to fact check yourself sometimes, because you'll say something or you'll hear something and then you don't know where it's necessarily come from, and every now and again you need to have a bit of a check and go, oh,
I've been saying the same thing
I've
for
been saying
years.
for years. I remember
Oh,
I'd
that
say
was
to
wrong.
people, I heard one from somewhere once, had it not been for Hitler, having to the Blitz, and the city of London would have been all narrow streets and passageways, blah blah blah. Like, it was. I got a map of 1927 London, and it looks exactly the same.
Yeah. Well, no, there was I know something about this one because again, it was architecture. When we got bombed, an architect came in and said, "Look, this is the best plan we can do for London," and he made it logical, beautiful system, maybe a little bit grid systemy, and they didn't do it. They
Do you
just,
wanna-
just
so-
built it back up.
Similar to the Great Fire, done
So-
that. King and Queen Street were the two
That's
streets that came from the Great Fire. That was the only 2 new streets following that.
Yeah,
They all
everything
followed
else
the
was
same
original,
system.
wasn't it?
Oh, can I?
That's amazing.
Sorry. So after the actually before the Great Fire, there was a proposition to rebuild London and redesign the whole city, and it was going to be too costly, and you had to have knocked everything down.
Yep.
And the Great Fire came through, and it was like, right, perfect. We've got a blank slate. But the king had said, no, you can all have your land back. You can all have your houses back. Just rebuild them as they were.
Yeah.
And they've done that quite quickly. But if you go to Washington, the layout of Washington is an interpretation of what they wanted London to look like.
Are we talking about Washington, England, or Washington, America?
America.
Okay. Are we talking about Washington?
I think it was a French architect. And so the way they built that, they took that design of London and based Washington on that imagining of what they wanted London to look like.
Well, Wren's design that he wanted to do. Yeah, because he wanted to make it all like piazzas and like
and like boulevards and that sort of thing.
It might have been lovely.
I didn't know that.
Don't know.
It's not an exact copy.
Didn't happen, did it?
What Wren wanted to do.
Well, on that bombshell, right? Why is the monument as high as it is?
Because, go on. It's just done the course. No, I mean, I might mess it up.
Right. So the story is that if you lay it down, the tip of it reaches Pudding Lane.
Yeah.
Right.
Without a pediment.
Yeah, without a pediment. And when they were designing it, they wanted to put Charles II on top. Yeah,
right.
and he said, "Don't put me on top because everyone's going to think that I started the fire." So they put the Phoenix on top.
And Pudding Lane? It's not there anymore, is it?
No.
Pudding Lane. So, yeah, so if you go to Lovett Lane, it's a really narrow street and it slopes down.
Mm-hmm.
And in the middle of the street, it's kind of like a little valley, like very, very tiny. So when the houses were built, they jetted out. They were closer at the top than they were at the bottom. A couple of reasons. They say that it's because you bought a parcel of land and it was that size, but there was no limit on how wide you could make it. So they all made them wider at the top. Yeah. And possibly because when they threw the crap out of the top floor window, it landed in the middle of the street, not near the front door. Yeah. So that's another reason. So when they say about pudding and black pudding, it's because when everyone threw the crap out the top window, it landed in the middle of the street. And Pudding Lane isn't called pudding because that's why they used to bake puddings. That was when you threw everything out your top window, it all congregated in the middle of the street and flowed down to the Thames.
Yeah,
it's awful.
Yeah,
so
all the butchers used to be down there.
Yeah, so when you threw all the...
So it's nothing to do with puddings and Pie Corner. It's nothing to do with
No.
Tell me they did make pies at Pie Corner.
I say no, but you know we've got to say it is said. History would tell us whatever. But yeah, it's all the offal they threw into the middle of the street, all flowed down to the river, and it just become known as black pudding.
Cool. Could you imagine living?
Do you know about Lloyd's Bank? Lloyd's Insurance. The origins of it.
You're talking about the Lloyd's building.
Yeah, the origins of the company.
Shipping
started in a coffee house. We got a massive coffee sort of history. You know, I say to Americans, you know, what are English people famous for? Drinking tea or drinking coffee? Yeah, drinking tea. I said, well, we drank coffee first. You know, it was massive. If you was into something, you go to a coffee house. Mm-hmm. Lloyd's was George Lloyd's coffee house, and you went in there to like if you want to get in the insurance business, you'd insure ships. You go in, the names would be on the wall. Yeah. Ship. You'd write your name underneath. That's where the underwriter comes from. Tell us to America.
Oh, the underwriter, because you're writing underneath.
You write underneath your name because you're going to back that ship. Wow. And then business becomes so big for the coffee house, and Thomas Gresham decides to build Royal Exchange across the road that they moved over. So where people knew where to go, they called themselves the Lloyd's Society. That's the origins of Lloyd's of London. Yeah. And the thing is, the ships, if they didn't come back within 3 years, you paid out. And some of their business still goes on a 3-year cycle. So I've had Americans in insurance, and they love that. Yeah. I had 2 generations, 3 people, 2 generations of Americans in working in the insurance business, and the 2 young ones were like, "Oh, that's amazing." And the old one, she goes, "When I learnt to become an insurer, we had to learn all this." And she knew all about it, but she didn't know about the 3-year cycle. But she knew about it starting in a coffee house and all of this. So you play to your customers and like stuff like. I mean, it's the first insurance company. Yeah, they are the first insurance company, and
they still work on the basis that you can invest. I can give my security to Lloyd's, and if Lloyd's gets a payout, I lose my house, my everything, my.
Well, don't know about that.
Well,
I'm intrigued.
You're an underwriter.
Yes.
So I can be an underwriter, and I get the perks of what the profits are from the. I am no expert here. I'm just doing from my memory of what I put on the spotlight. As an underwriter, I am going to guarantee that your ship's going to be safe. If your ship doesn't come back safe, I didn't say how much money I had, but whatever I own or whatever I am worth is now has to be paid. The debt has to be paid. And I thought that's how it worked. So now I have to sell everything, get everything, and you can lose everything as an underwriter. Because they lost everything in earthquakes and major disasters. Because they were insured in some way, and now the payout comes, and literally whoever it is, check that out, Frank. I'm going to do my little thing on it.
I will check that
Yeah.
out. No, definitely.
Frank, it's wonderful stories. Tom, really great to have you here as well. And
Thank you.
the chat was great. Nick, really proud that you're now a tour guide, and thank you for coming and sharing all these stories with us. And what a really, really enjoyable podcast. Thank you.
Yeah.